Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And man, you know what I am thankful for? I am thankful for the facts. I'm thankful for statisticians and social scientists and people like Dr. Ryan Burge who just tell us what it is, the unvarnished truth. We have another Burge report. Ryan, I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here, Sam.
I don't know. It's just like he's just waiting on me to get done with the intro.
No, that's what I say to every interview. They ask me, "Welcome, Ryan Burge," and I'm like, "What do you want me to say? Yo, what up?" Like, I don't know what to say. You know,
that's exactly what you should say.
I just say, "Yo, what up?"
Yeah. That vernacular, that language fits your skin tone so well. So
a 43-year-old white dude with a PhD. That's exactly how we speak. An academic at Wash U. Mm-hmm.
And that's in terms of like urban talk too, that's the wrong era anyway. I think we're far detached. Any sort of hip hop language is like straight from the 90s, and that's really, really dated.
My kids play this rap like Kendrick Lamar and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. Nope, that don't work. Like, I don't like that. I don't need that. I don't want that. I want the rap I grew up with, which is awful, but I love it because it's mine,
Well, shout out to my wife, Erin, who actually enjoys hip hop music. So she's
like modern hip hop music.
She's into it all. Yep, she loves all of it.
Bless her. What a wonderful woman. Huh?
I know a lot of people wouldn't know that about her. So, hey, let's talk about how pastors actually end up in ministry. It's a great question, great point of discussion. One that I found fascinating. Ryan's done this research, and it's stuff that we definitely want to share with you. Before we get into it, I want to thank our sponsor, Rooted. The Rooted experience can help you create a discipleship culture that connects your people and leads to ongoing life change in Jesus. This is a great way to launch sustainable groups. It's a proven plan to connect people to God and the church and their purpose. And it's a great approach to discipleship. This is an all-in-one curriculum that you really should go check out. So go to experiencerooted.com/churchanswers. Link is in the show notes. I love the Rooted experience. You will too. experiencerooted.com/churchanswers. All right, Ryan, let's talk about some unconventional paths to ministry. You've done this research, and I'm not exactly sure where this comes from. It's the National Survey of Religious Leaders, the NSRL. That's one that I don't know. That's the one I don't know as well. There's others like
from Duke University. Mark Chaves.
Now I know. Yep.
Mark Chaves. It's a Lilly-funded deal. They do it like not very often, like every 5 years, 8 years, something like that. It's a really hard sample to get, by the way, because you try to be representative, but it's like, how do you get all the representation that you want? Which is like, do you want Catholics? Do you want Protestants? What kind of Protestants? Do you want part-time? Do you want full-time? Do you want, people at multiple churches? So in some ways, it's probably one of those methodologically difficult samples to acquire, but I actually think it's in some ways the most insightful sample that you can get, because it's not just like the general public or not church-going people. It's a like, what does it mean to be a religious leader? Where do you come from? Like, how much money do you make? What's your background? How many hours do you work? All that stuff. Like, we would have no other way to answer that question without data like this.
Well, it was originally published at graphsaboutreligion.com, which is Ryan's Substack. And the world is subscribing at this point. Like, everybody is a subscriber. So if you're like that one person that's not subscribing, you really need to go check that out. It's the title of the article is "The Many Jobs of Religious Leader." Caught my attention. Certainly, there's plenty of other great articles there. So go subscribe at graphsaboutreligion.com. So to talk about like the work, just talk about work hours. Like, what are is the cliche true? Do we just work like 10 hours a week, like Mondays or Sundays and Wednesdays? Is that true?
So the average, now this is part-time and full-time, right? So just the average pastor says they work about 34 hours a week in their congregation, their primary congregation. But then listen to this. There are pastors who work in multiple congregations, and they say they work another 15 hours in their secondary congregation. So you add that together, that's almost 50 hours right there. A lot of them say they're also chaplains. A lot of them say they also have another side gig, like a non-ministry gig on the side. So yeah, the average pastor is most definitely working more than 40 hours a week across all these jobs. The median 50 hours. The mean is 47 hours, which means they don't differentiate that much. But the average pastor is working about 50 hours a week, which is, I don't know if that's normal or not. I think in a post-capitalist society, we all work too much, Sam, and definitely pastors fall into that trap.
Well, as a free market capitalist myself, I don't mind the work hours. 50 to 60 is pretty normal to me. That sounds about right. I know there are other cultures and countries where that would be unfathomable that somebody
Your European
would work.
listeners just had a heart attack, by the way. I want you to know that.
Yeah, pretty normal in American society. So I guess the lesson here is that while pastors do work hard and do work many hours, it's not something that's so over the top relative to, say, other professions that would be similar income levels as pastors.
I think that's true. I think like the idea of like a pastor being over, like, working 100 hours a week is just probably not the norm. And really, I think we can all recognize that we have gone through phases in our lives where we worked 100 hours a week. Like, I know I used to get up at like 5:30 in the morning and start writing before my kids got up because that was my only chance to write. I'd be working all the time. Like, you can work 100 hours a week for a period of your life, a season of your life, but it's not sustainable. Like, I think what we were talking about, the 50, 55, 60 hours a week for like us, we're in our 40s now. I think that feels very fine. But I think as we get older, it's probably not going to be that level, right? We're not going to be working 55, 60 hours a week. But here's what's funny. So I looked at this by years in ministry because I had a theory, right? That like the young bucks are the ones who are just like absolutely like killing it, working, and the old guys are sort of cruising. You know what I found? The people the people who had been in ministry between 30 and 40 years worked 53 hours a week on average, which was the highest of any of the time served groups. So among guys who had been in ministry for less than 10 years, it was only 44 hours. So it's actually the guys like sort of in their 50s and 60s that are grinding the most in ministry, which I thought, well, that's not a lot to look forward to for a lot of pastors,
Well, okay, there's some other things here. The average age of a pastor is 60. So
yeah,
the sample set for younger pastors is, I don't know what the sample set would be there, but it's probably less. So what does that data mean? I don't know. But as your kids get out of the house too, like, that's kind of the age when kids are getting out of the house. And it's kind of like, that season of life before you had kids. It's like, actually I had time to write a book. I could get up at 5 a.m. and write a book. And you kind of get back into that season, I guess, when kids get out of the house. So I think that's part of it as well. I don't know that that's unhealthy. Let me put it that way. There may be some other factors at play there that make it pretty normal.
You have hobbies though, Sam. Like, you run and stuff.
I do. I run ultras. In fact, at the time of, when this airs, I will be running a 35-miler, and then I have a 100-miler after that I'm running. So
now, hopefully not back to back.
Within 60 days of each other. Yeah, the 35-miler is a training run for the 100-miler.
Okay, so listen, I'm going to stop you right there. 35. I don't think I've run 35 miles in the last 5 years of my life, nor do I want to. That's not a hobby. That's like, do you hate yourself? Like, is there something secretly going on inside yourself we need to talk about right now?
I've always been a runner. This show is not about, running, but I've always been a runner. And at my age, I've just asking the question and trying to answer it. How far can I really go for how long?
I've never asked myself that question in my life. Not once, not ever, really. But I do think
it keeps me in shape. It keeps me to where, listen, when I'm 60 and I want to work 55 hours at my church, I'll be able to do that because I'm in shape.
That's a good point. No, I think you're not. I think the key though here is like pastors have to have hobbies, right? That are not like reading the Bible is not a hobby, guys. You know what I mean? Like reading Spurgeon or A.W. Tozer is not a hobby. That's part of your job. So you need to find something you do that has nothing to do with your job at all, that makes you feel sane and something to look forward to. I say this as a guy, by the way, who has absolutely zero hobbies. That's me.
You play tennis.
I do like once a week with my kids. Like, that's it. I cannot. But can we talk about workaholics just for a second? Because I think you and I
Is this confession time?
No, not really. I think the word workaholic is actually like, it has this negative connotation, but if you like what you're doing and you're good at what you're doing and it makes you feel like you have purpose and meaning, then why not? As long as you're not killing yourself physically or mentally, you're not taking time away from your family. What's wrong with working 60 hours a week as opposed to 35 hours a week? I think that's for me, I work 60, 70 hours a week, but I love it. And it makes you feel better, not worse. So why is that a negative thing? You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't think there's anything wrong at all with working 60 hours a week consistently. I have to do that quite often because I'm co-vocational. It's where it gets up to that 80 to 100 range where you're neglecting your family, where it becomes a problem,
Correct.
At least in my world. This whole idea of like 40 is such an arbitrary number. It's just totally arbitrary. Like,
No.
It's like I worked 41 hours this week. Oh my goodness. It's, that extra hour just did me in. I just don't think that way.
Let me just make a point here. Since I've been 23 years old, I've never had a job where you clock out and walk away. And I think that there's something to be said for a job where you just go to work and you work at work. And when work's over, you clock out, go home and think about not work things at all for the rest of your time. Like pastors can't do that. Academics can't do that. Like that, it's literally all consuming. And I just wonder if that sort of changes something in your mind about work and what work is. Like, is it discrete or is it just kind of woven through everything else in your life? And does that, I think actually, I could not go to a job. I worked at McDonald's for a while, and I remember staring at the clock and going, why is it not 3:30 yet? Because I was done at 3:30, and just watching, I never wanted to feel that feeling, but I gave that away for working all the time and having to work all the time and feeling like I'm working all the time and never not thinking about work. So I don't know what the better trade-off is at this point.
Yeah. I mean, when you're cleaning a fryer in the middle of the night at Buffalo Wild Wings, the time has a different.
Did you do that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Man, I could drop stuff in the fryer quicker than anybody else. Yeah.
Is that whole restaurant just dropping stuff in a fryer?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like.
And then I got promoted to the grill master. And frozen patties, man. I could really cook them up well.
Is that on your resume?
I need to put it back on my CV. I need to add that to my CV. Yeah.
Yeah. Put that right at the bottom. Grill master, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep. So 2/3 of clergy had another career before entering into ministry. That's certainly the case for me. That was the case for you as well.
You got it, dude.
And few go directly from Bible college or seminary into full-time leadership.
I think that's a really important point.
Yes.
I think we cannot emphasize this enough. The right way to do things is not the way most people do things here. You think okay, I'm going to go to a Bible college. I'm going to get a div degree. I'm going to go work at a church, and I'm going to work my way up from being a youth pastor to being the senior pastor, and then it's all going to be good. That is not how. Now, some people do that, right? That is a path that some people take. But guess what the data says? That is not the norm. The norm is someone starting out in a different career and then working their way into ministry, into adulthood. And by the way, I've talked to a lot, in the Baptist world, it's easy to do that because we don't have a lot of qualifications and your local church can call you and all that kind of fun stuff. But even in Methodist land and Lutheran land and Presbyterian land where it's a lot different, I talked to so many pastors I was a lawyer till I was 35. Then I, went to div school and became a pastor. There is no right way to become a pastor. There's no right age to become a pastor. There's no right path to become a pastor. And I think the important thing for people to know is if you're listening to this and you're 50 and you're thinking about making a career change and going into ministry, good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people are doing what you're doing.
You'd be one of the younger ones.
Heck yeah, you would be. You'd actually lower the median age, for goodness sakes. But I think the alternative also thing to think about is if you're also did things the right way and went to Bible college, div school, and got a job, and now you're in your 40s and go, man, I don't know really if I should do ministry. It's okay to walk away from it too. It's a season of life for some people. That's why I tell people in my background, I pastored for almost 20 years, from the time I was 20 years old to 42 years old at three different churches. I don't feel the need to be a pastor ever again. Not saying anything being bad about clergy or the churches I worked at or pastors as a whole. For me personally, it was a season of my life, and I'm glad I did it. And I think I was doing it for what God called me to do, and also career-wise. But I'm in a different season of my life. It's not a job where when you're 15, God taps you on the shoulder and says, you're going to be a pastor the rest of your life. And if you don't do that, you're going to be miserable. I don't think many people operate like that. And I just want to take that guilt away from some people that you can come in and out of ministry. It's okay to take a different path, and most people do take a different path to ministry, and that's totally fine.
Completely agree. And I'm glad you said it, because there is a misperception that like once you're in this thing, you cannot get out. And it's just not true. And another stat here in talking about this survey that was done, about a quarter of clergy were already on staff,
Mm-hmm.
and then they became the senior leader,
Yep.
senior pastor, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 in 5, so about 20%, began as lay people in their churches before stepping into a paid role.
That's the thing is like, you think it's a very professional process. We're going to do a search. We're going to find someone with a seminary degree and a lot of experience. To go back to what we talked about the previous episode, but I'll say it again, the average church is 75 people. Guess what? A 75-person church does not have the resources to hire someone with a divinity degree with a lot of background and experience. You know who they're going to hire? Someone who's a good fit for the congregation, who oftentimes happens to be one of the people in the congregation or someone in the community. So, like, promote from within, and that, listen, the perfect's the enemy of the good. I think a lot of churches are realizing that. It's like, we could do a search and we could find somebody, but then they have to come in, learn our culture, learn our background, learn our history, learn about our church. We can hire that guy over there who's been here for 15 years and understands all of us already. I mean, I think the success rate of hiring someone outside is probably no better or worse than hiring from somebody from the inside.
And then nearly 1/3 of clergy hold outside jobs. 1 in 3. So there's some bivocational stuff in there too.
Yes.
Obviously. I'm bivo, covo. You can use those terms synonymously. I'm co-vocational. The difference is, my church can afford to pay me a full-time salary, and then I have a side gig. So I call that co-vocational. Some churches pay part-time, and out of necessity, the pastor has to have, another job. That would be more bivocational, but feel free to intertwine those terms. And I know that was the world you lived in as well. I just want to tell everybody out there, if you're a church member or if you're a pastor, that's fine. If you know how to make tents and you want to make tents, go make tents.
Do what God called you to do. Because nothing is more miserable than doing something that you feel like you have to do. You're like, Chris Rock, the great prophet Chris Rock, said, being rich is not having a lot of money, it's having a lot of options. And there's no more miserable feeling on earth than feeling like you have to do something. Like, you have to be the pastor of this church. You have to not be, you can't never preach. Like, that is a miserable existence. When you want to preach, that's fun. When you're excited about going to church, that's fun. Not that you're always going to be excited. I think we can all admit, Sam, that there's some Sundays where it's like, not feeling great, not feeling, just trying to get through it. But most Sundays, you should want to be there. You should want to be in the pulpit. You should want to be leading these people. And if you feel like you have to because you got to pay the bills or take care of, or people are expecting you, listen, you should not be a pastor because people are expecting you to be their pastor. That is not the reason that you should do it. You should do it because you feel called to do it and you feel equipped to do it. And if you don't feel those two things, you should find something else to do. And again, there is no shame in walking away from a job for the right reasons, no matter what that job is. And a right reason could be, I'm just not feeling it anymore. I don't think this is the season of life for me. That is a totally fine thing to do. No shame, no guilt. Do what's best for you, either getting into ministry or getting out of ministry. In some ways, it's not a job that's different than any other job. You got to think about the nuts and bolts of being a pastor as much as you think about like the Isaiah 6 call of "Here I am, Lord, send me." Both things matter, but if you're not happy, if you're not feeling good about your life, if your family life's hurting, then you should walk away. You really, really should.
There was one Sunday when I wasn't feeling it, Ryan, and I ended up passing out and puking in a live mic.
In a live mic?
Yeah, the sound guy fell asleep during my sermons, so he didn't notice that I had walked off the stage and behind into the baptistry area. And usually the music would wake him up for the invitation, and then that's when he knew to turn my mic off. But in this case, there was no invitation because at this point, I am completely incoherent. And I just say, and my wife tells me this. I'm like, I don't remember anything. I don't remember the second half of my sermon because I was very, very ill. And she goes, well, you just looked at everyone and said, and that concludes my sermon, and walked off the stage.
Hey, you know what? Of all the ways to end one, that is not the worst, okay?
Well, it was a bit of a mic drop moment. Everyone was utterly confused until they heard the thump and then the vomiting sound through the microphone.
Did you puke in the baptismal?
No, I puked all over the floor back there.
Okay. I don't know which is worse in this situation, honestly.
I woke up and the chair of the deacons and the chair of the personnel committee was like scrubbing the floor around me. And I'm like, what is going on? And
can I make a suggestion for anyone right now? If you're building a church or you're thinking about building a church sanctuary, like you're listening to this, would you please build a small bathroom behind the pulpit, like in the in the back part of the church? That way, if the pastor does have to puke or even go to the bathroom like during the service, they can just sneak back in the water closet and then come back without having to walk through the entire congregation to make that happen. Just a small structural change could actually make your life. And you would have puked in a toilet, Sam, not on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. And that way you don't have to pee in the baptistry anymore.
I'm just telling you guys, you should run plumbing to the back. How much square feet would that take? 30 square feet to build like a sink and a toilet with a door? That's all you need. It's going to save you so much hassle down the road. I've been in enough churches to know it's a pain to walk all the way down to go pee and then come back during the service because someone's going to stop and talk to you and you don't have time for it. So just a suggestion.
Well, this is wisdom from the great Ryan Burge. And just to quickly summarize all of his wisdom, hey, it's all right to step in and out of ministry.
You got it.
It's fine to have a side gig. There's all sorts of different paths into ministry, and don't pee in the baptistry. Those are the summaries.
And don't start preaching if you think you're going to puke, Sam. You should have just called out.
I should have, but I did not, and I've learned not to preach when I have the stomach bug. So. Anyways, thanks for tuning in today's episode. Want to thank our sponsor, Upward. Hey, it's really time to get going on 2026. They have some really, really good plans to help you out to reach your community. You can go to upward.org/churchanswers. They've got programs for basketball, soccer, flag football, cheerleading, volleyball, baseball, and pickleball. And my favorite, running. They've got a great new running app that you need to go check out. So go to upward.org/churchanswers. You can find out all that you need to know to partner with Upward to reach your community. And hey, have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you on the next one.